Hi, I'm Salem. I'm a special agent with the Diplomatic Security Service. I'm currently based out of New York. I first joined the department in May of 2020. After about a year of training, I became a DSS Special Agent in March of 2021. In terms of why I wanted to become a special agent, I always knew I wanted to work in federal law enforcement in some capacity. But in my senior year, an alumnus from my college presented on his time as a DSS special agent. He basically showed me a dream job that I didn't even know about. He described the job in terms of constant opportunities to travel, a wide, diverse mission set. And so far, I've found everything he said to be pretty spot on. In terms of where I've worked, I'm pretty early on in my career, relatively speaking. So far, it's been entirely permanently set in New York. But my first tour was at the New York field office. Currently, I'm a few months into my second tour at the U.S. mission to the United Nations, so on the east side of New York. So not too big of a change. But currently, I'm assigned to the protective detail for the U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield. As a native New Yorker, I'm pretty happy with the time I've spent in New York. It's been immensely fulfilling to work as a special agent in my hometown. The New York field office had a ton of opportunities early on in my career where I was able to support the Secretary of State's protective detail, both domestic and overseas in multiple continents. I also participated in a long-term TDY to Poland, or temporary duty. Sorry about that. I've also successfully investigated a criminal investigation of a human trafficking case, which involved rescuing the victims and bringing justice to the perpetrator. It doesn't take long for DSS special agents to start having opportunities of pretty large responsibility. Within a month of getting to the New York field office, I was working my own investigative cases as the lead agent and also serving in key roles on protective details. And then that's just within days. But within months, I was the lead case agent on a multi agency investigation in tandem with the US Attorney's Office. I was also serving as the lead advance agent on protective details for high ranking foreign officials visiting the US for both diplomatic engagements and summits. So that's, I think, something pretty particular to DS that I found really fulfilling. Agent training was frankly an incredible year. Our pipeline, specifically to our class, was extended because of COVID. We had some delays and some schedule adjustments. But in terms of the training itself, I loved it. I came to DS without prior law enforcement or military experience, so everything was brand new to me, which probably made it a bit more exciting than for some of my peers. So firearms, driving, protection, investigative techniques, that was all new and exciting and fulfilling. But aside from the classroom activities, I found my classmates to be the best part and what made that year of training not just uh, okay and manageable, but a great time. They were some of the most inspiring and enjoyable people I've spent time with in my life, and they came from every line of work. So they were top notch, whether it was military, law enforcement, education, lawyers. It was a blast to train with them and spend my free time with them, and it felt like almost like an extra year of college that I got paid for. So I might have mentioned it earlier, but I think as of right now, my most memorable and fulfilling experience as a DS agent was a human trafficking investigation that I supported. Two women were actively being held and exploited for work in the States. And I was assigned as the lead DSS case agent for that. And I remember personally being so motivated by this particular case that I was conducting interviews over the phone or over Zoom with the victims or subjects of interest after midnight protection shifts. And working with agents from other federal agencies and the US Attorney's Office was also another element of the case that was new to me that I found immensely fulfilling because we were all working in tandem to hold the perpetrator accountable. And it's that kind of experience that I was really hoping to get in DSS, and pretty amazing that I was able to get it within a year of starting with the New York office. So I'd say the most challenging aspect of being a DSS special agent, which might not be a surprise, is that your personal life needs to adapt to the work schedule. I can only speak to my first tour at domestic field office, but between travel and training and then work responsibilities, it's not hard to spend nearly half your time away from home. And you can kind of advocate for yourself to a certain degree about whether you want it to be more or less than that. But um, even when you are home with domestic protection, your evenings, your weekends, and holidays can be more occupied than in other lines of work, and they can be up for grabs sometimes on short notice. But on the flip side, I found, at least especially with the New York office and their management, if something was important to me and something I'd planned ahead of time, I was almost always able to take leave and communicate that. And DSS leadership knows that personal life is important both in the moment, but also in terms of the long term. So far, it's been pretty manageable for me to kind of find the balance. My advice for anyone applying for the Clark DS Fellowship is just apply. I remember being in those shoes and throwing applications constantly and not being sure if they were going anywhere. Um, but I can tell you that you throw enough out there and one will work out. And for an opportunity like this, it's just, I'm jealous, frankly, to get grad school paid for and then have a career with DSS to follow up on. For something more helpful, other than just me saying that to throw your hat in the ring, is to work to become a well-rounded candidate. DSS seeks a diverse pool of candidates, so you don't have to just be the military person or the law enforcement person. Um, you can look at the 12 dimensions of a foreign service specialist because that's what a lot of our program evaluates you on in terms of the selection process. And you can achieve those requirements or those qualities through any field of study, volunteering, work experience. So just don't limit yourself and don't feel like there's only one way to get to DS.